Three, two, one. Let's go! Yeah! Look at John-Makr! Yes! Yeah! Now that was the best. Awesome. That was the best remote 3-2-1 that we've gotten up to date. No question about it, Skippo.
Without a doubt. It's not even close.
Not even close. Dude, is that, you said that was Sedona behind you?
It is Sedona.
Wow.
And that's when I was there early last month. Yeah.
Wow. Perfect weather.
Oh, dude, it was gorgeous.
What were you doing? You just hiking around?
I was, hiking around. I was there visiting a good friend of mine who was just kind of like doing his thing. He's kind of like this traveling guy, and he's just like, hey, come down to Sedona. I'm at this ranch, and like it's this beautiful property, and it has like this amazing view of Cathedral Rock. So the property that he was on was like on this cliff, and he was kind of like watching it for a friend, and we were just kind of camping on it.
No way.
Yeah, dude, it was unreal. But yeah, the next day, like he had to go, to work or something, and I was just like, I'm gonna go hiking.
So that's that's an image from Hangover Trail.
The top of Hangover Trail, which I'll tell you this: when you get up here, or by the time you make it to the top, the hangover is gone.
There you go. And what are those rocks made out of, Skippo?
Oh, this is all. This is like not the Supai group. It's so it's the Coconino sand, Kaibab in some places, and you can kind of see the red wall. So it's like that top group of the Grand Canyon. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So you get the Hermit Shale, which is your cliff formers, and then above it you get the sand, and then in some places you have some exposed lime, and then like when you're driving in, you have like all these massive like lava flows that are like capping stuff. So. Yeah, it's just beautiful. First time in Sedona, it was lights out.
Wow. Well, speaking of the Sedona, something we learned in the show with John-Makr Staude, our guest, and an absolute honor to share this time with John-Makr Staude. He said his grandparents, the family of Staude,
grandmother built the church.
Yeah.
Am I right, John-Makr?
That's right. Actually, it's my grandmother, grandfather, the Staude family built the Sedona church there, Chapel of the Holy Cross.
Wow. And on top of that, I am going to read John-Makr Staude's bio. And ladies and gentlemen, please allow me to a few minutes, because John-Makr Staude holds a PhD in economic geology and has over 20 years of diverse mining and exploration experience in precious and base metals. He earned a Master's of Science from Harvard University in 1989 and a PhD in economic geology from the University of Arizona in 1995. Mr. Staude held positions in increasing responsibility with a number of major international mining companies, including Kennecott, BHP, messed that up, Kennecott, BHP Billiton, and most recently, Teck Cominco.
Teck Cominco, and it's so cool that those companies have now evolved into losing their second name.
Oh, there you go. Good. So Kennecott, BHP, and Teck. He also worked with smaller commodity-focused companies like Magma Copper Company and consulted to private investment groups. Mr. Staude's extensive Latin America mineral resource experience began in Mexico and then extended through South America. Recently, Mr. Staude has ventured in Europe and Asia, initiating companies and managing successful exploration programs in Turkey, Romania, and China. Mr. Staude is incredible. It doesn't say that in his bio, but that's what I say. Mr. Staude has been successful in creating shareholder value through discoveries of gold and copper in Mexico, Peru, and Turkey. He has located additional resources in known districts and helped convert discoveries into new mining operations. His technical and managerial experience spans from more than 30 countries in diverse geologic environments. Through Riverside Resources, Mr. Staude will continue to build strong portfolios and profitable businesses through prospect generation, early stage partnering, and drill discoveries. John-Makr Staude, it is an absolute honor, sir.
Thank you. It's great to be on the show.
Man, I mean, this show, Skippo, how do you mark it? I mean, it's up.
Lights out, man. Lights out. I mean, for us especially, because, coming from that petroleum space and just kind of discussing, we kind of understand the business of petroleum, but kind of getting that shift into the economic geology space. And I mean, I couldn't have imagined a better guest than this. John-Makr just does a great job kind of breaking it all down from just the business of economic geology itself to understanding these complex JV relationships.
Right.
And that's what the show touches on.
I believe you're a pioneer in JV relationships based on your experience through Harvard and experience through this. You had this idea that I like this economic international like ability to communicate and make business. And then, geoscience. Oh my gosh, you actually provide the real value, boots on the ground. You merge the two. And the way you speak of JVs is just incredible. I learned so much today. What did you learn, John-Makr? What do you got? Anything good?
I really saw how much values is in the joint venture. I also saw how really cool it is to be able to touch upon bringing science at a much bigger level, particularly with the petroleum and with the basin and thinking about Permian Basin together. I mean, it's really, really fun. I think the third thing is fun. It's great to be on the show and to be with you guys and spend some time and see the passion you're bringing to it. I mean, geology is just rocks, but rocks are actually really exciting. And unlocking that and telling the stories, just as Skip said, letting the rocks have their story and story be told is just great. And I know that's what you stand for, Troy. So great to be on the show.
Gosh, thank you so much, John-Makr. I mean, we have all kinds of reasons. You serve on the board of MagmaChem Research Institute, and we're trying to get that up and going and explain the understanding of rocks through MagmaChem, and that is fascinating in itself. And I'm just beyond grateful to work with someone of your experience and your knowledge and helping us to progress what the Research Institute will ultimately come. But the show for me at its core was down to the individuals. And right now in this pressure that we feel, or that I feel, and I talk to Stan daily, Monty daily, I talk to these people that are just incredible mentors. And then I have people like Skips and friends that are boots on the ground. Like, what are we going to do through this time, and what is it going to look like in the future? And no one can say with certain what that is, but without question, the universal truth is that there's a passion, there's enthusiasm, and there's a want to make a difference. That's what we are in search of. You guys have built this opportunity for us, and now amongst all the nature that has pressed against us, COVID is squeezing us through this time, and it's now the time for millennials to get in those manager positions and start making a difference.
Totally so. It really is. And I think this show really opens up those doors for that.
Man, John-Makr, you're awesome. You're awesome. Skippo, you got anything before we say that it's all over with?
Dude, I think we just dive right into the show. I think that's the game plan. I think we let the show speak for itself.
All right, Skippo, that's usually what we do best. John-Makr Staude, the conceptions part of the PBE podcast, and delivering information of value to everybody that follow PBE and us as professionals. We're young professionals. That's our perspective. We both have master's degree in geoscience, and we're both really revved up on the fact that there is a lot of opportunity in the near future for geoscience degrees to make a difference for a company, and we just are fans of that.
I am too, and I'm also a master's of geoscience. And the thing that I really like about geoscience is it's been just a wonderful life. That so many things actually have opened up. I actually started getting into geoscience because I wanted to go on a hike and know what I was looking at my feet. Then when I lived in Arizona, I loved hiking the mountains and being able to know all the different rocks and bring that together. And it's just really fun. It's great to be able to choose a career that you can just embrace yourself with. It's really fun.
That's awesome. Yeah, really expanding your curiosity with some real things to think about. I mean, that's what's fun about geology to me as well. It's really a combination of all the sciences applied to the physical world. And when you do that, there's the questions, the technical questions of why is the oxidation state this, or why is the bulk magma this, and you dive down into the details, and when with data you're supported with a hypothesis, and it's our job and ability, and Skips always says this, it's our job and ability to tell that story of what the data is suggesting.
Yeah. We are historians for the earth. We just look at the data. That's all we use, right? The earth can't speak to us except in data. And so it's our job to interpret that data and tell that story. That's our job as geoscientists.
You're right on, Skips, you know, and it really is. And it's fun actually to be able to work in industry where you have the access to capital, to be able to blend that science, trying to understand, and yet also through industry, trying to extract some value that you can share with the communities where you are. So it's almost the beautiful, best place to be, where you can work with the smartest people to do great things, to create true intrinsic value. And that's what's really drawn me into it. So although I got a PhD after that master's, I just was so passionate, I kept going in that direction. But you know, it's that chance to bring in the industry and to apply it. You're right, Skips, you're right on.
So let's talk a little bit about that. So where was this geoscience hungry John-Makr Staude born and raised? Where was the undergrad? And then let's go through that academic journey.
Well, it was really fun. You know, I was actually lucky. I grew up in Riverside, California. Now I run a company called Riverside. It's pretty fun when you found a company. You can't pay yourself, but at least you get to name it. So that was fun.
The Inland Empire.
We got going, and now we've created it public. It's now listed on the Toronto Venture Stock Exchange, and we have staff, and it's been a great run. But really, from the undergraduate, I was started off in international relations, and I found that was all hocus pocus, a lot of negotiation, and you know, and it was fun, but it was actually wasn't really true science. It wasn't real. I took geology classes, and it kind of used this duck to water. I just found all of a sudden it was straight A's, got scholarships. It just really fit, and it was really fun, and it's really helped me in the conversations when you find that hand to glove thing. I got a scholarship to go to Harvard, and I thought I was going to be a professor. Did all of it and started to work there, but I found that it was pretty narrow. Just the science was narrow, and I took this class of economic geology, and all of a sudden I found this economics blending with the rocks. It was really cool.
So in that class, it was kind of like those two worlds colliding at once, and all of a sudden you're like, whoa, the business side of things as well as that passionate, you know, and you know, the science. And now we get to blend this, and now I get to provide a way to identify resources for the planet, which is...
Yeah, it does, because it goes to place where I was 15 years old. When I was 15 years old, I went on a foreign exchange program to live in Argentina.
What?
And when I came back from living in Argentina, I couldn't speak English. I had just totally integrated myself into Spanish.
You were dreaming in Spanish.
Dreaming in Spanish and really present to what was there.
Wow.
And that's just, I put whatever I get into, just fully into it with total commitment and passion. And my life is about making a difference in Latin America. Wow. So I don't go to work. We create a better future for Latin America. We create a better future for people, and that's just what we do. And the best place wasn't in international relations. It was really in this blending of economics and geology. And so I chose to graduate and leave Harvard and began to go work first at the U.S. Geological Survey. And then from there, I started to work in industry, and we made a big mining discovery, a new mineral wealth discovery of a high sulfidation gold system in Mexico that's now made over $2 billion mining company, a pretty successful company. Has grown to be over $3 billion as Alamos Gold. And that was great to be there right from the first drill holes.
What was the mine that was the discover?
That was awesome. This discovery is called Mulatos, and it's just south of Arizona, down in the Sonora. So if you go from the Chiricahua Mountains and follow the volcanics to the south, in that mountain range down there, you have these high sulfidation gold systems. And so we drilled the first holes, and I said, this is going to be a mine. It was just a project, but I could see it was the right style. I said, I really had confidence. So I actually decided to go back and do my PhD doctorate on the geology and synthesis of the structure and the history. And as Skip says, really try to give the world of what's there on Earth a description and lay it out there. Right. So wrote that up and tried to then reconstruct Humpty Dumpty in a reconstruction of the geology, and then tried to put it together back through time slices.
Wow, that's right.
And I came across this gentleman, Stan Keith, at that time. He had a whole other different model, and it was really great because I had this deep technicalness and really, really fun in how to deal with things and deal with it. But completed that, and the day I graduated, I was on a plane, immediately hired by industry to go and apply that. And I think that was the difference, that when I was in academia, I was applying for money. When we go into industry, we're creating that value. And so if we create that value, the money, we work together, we're still asking for money, but trying to make a real return on that money and reading the story of the rock.
Wow. And we'll get into the JV part of that and of business. But before that, and in the conception, because this is you just putting this all together and watching it unfold. And now we're looking back on that. And so what stood out to me is, what was it about the business side of mining exploration that butted heads the most, I guess, with science, or like with the idea that there is a deposit here and they're going, okay, well, is it economic? And and as a geoscientist, that might be something different, especially coming out of academia. You're going, I don't know what that means, but I get paid to tell you that there's a resource here, and I'm telling you that that's there. But then now you have this whole nother thing introduced in your life, and now it's the economics of it. Is this providing the source, a resource, and is it making the business money?
Yeah, and so, I think actually maybe instead of butting heads, actually it's hand in glove going together.
Nice.
And that's the thing that's really cool, that it actually is no friction at all. It's homogeneously going together. Now there's challenges and there's community, and we don't want it here, not in my backyard, all kinds of other things that hit to what eventually can make something work. But it's wonderful when the economics wants to do it, because it has the potential to really make a fundamental difference in so many ways to so many people. And that's what we did at Mulatos. It became a big mine. Places that didn't have electricity, places that didn't have running water, places that didn't have paved roads. Wow. And now they have all of that. And they have security, and they have safety, and they have communities. And it's been really fun to see that. And I think that's what's really inspired me. Then the following 30 years now since that time, wow, where we've continually worked in 33 countries around the world to try to develop resources in those communities that are really copacetic, that are winning, that work environmentally with the community, that engage and leave a lasting positive value. And so that's what you really see is the value. Is it's not about the dollars, it's about the cents, about making a difference for people. And it's really fun.
That's awesome to hear. Because I mean, not only are you providing a resource in economic quality, right, or economic quantities, right? You can quantify that, but also you're improving the quality of life for all the individuals that live in these areas. You're turning something that has been, I don't want to say possibly third world, possibly not in the best situation, and now you're providing, like you said, the infrastructure there, for that area to grow. And now you're, now that economy is beginning to roll, you're bringing, people are working, they're making more money, and that's just a snowball effect. I mean, that's just awesome.
It really does. And it captures to what, captures knowledge, it creates education, opportunity. And so if we can leverage off of those times while we do have those going, where we can use those resources, that new infrastructure that's supported through the mining or through the petroleum as well, through any extraction of resources, any new value, we create that value. It can leave a very positive opportunity to make a difference and to leave a place better and more sustained for the future. And it creates a great, really, really good growth for the community and for the country. So it's really good, I think.
Wow. What was one of the most shocking things about, if there was a shocking thing or something that was just really learned about, I guess, is the challenge of going out, where the rock is, its depth, its potential size and shape, and now you have to physically get that out of the earth. I mean, that challenge there, what did you see going into it at such a young age, like, what the engineers were able to do and to accomplish on recovering this material?
Yeah, I think at the formative side, the formative thing was when you change from being a student or someone that's, kind of paid to the point where you're actually really needing to create value. And it's different. You're going as an employee, kind of like Kiyosaki talks about, where you actually are creating value. You get beyond a job. So for me, one of the key steps there was the difference thing is, as a scientist going to study, you're paid, you have grant to do the research versus being funded there to go, but actually to create business. Mm-hmm. One of the things today that's the biggest challenge is so many things are against it happening. It's really disappointing. So many things, communities and so many other aspects that don't want it there. And it's like, look, we want to work together to make something better. And instead of taking such stark and strong stances against it, let's try to figure out how we can make things that are really win-win overall. And it's quite frustrating between governments and sometimes corruption, really disappointing, because we want to make something better. And there's so many things in the way that it's often kind of like running a line of hurdles. You keep jumping over the hurdles, but people keep putting more hurdles in front of you. And it's like, guys, we're just trying to deliver a win-win project here. And I think that you don't realize when you're a scientist, because the scientists can just focus on it. But when you're trying to make an economic return for the money that's being given to you to do it, and there's all these continual things going in front of you, it actually can be quite challenging. And I think that sometimes people say, why do you get into these extraction of resources? Because it can be very difficult. And there's, other things doing technology, computer programming, other things that are different. But to really make a fundamental difference, resource extraction and resource value is there.
Wow. I love that. I love the way you said that, because when it comes to blending the community and industry, that's a universal truth and a struggle for, I think, every city. And it's just like Midland, Odessa, in the heart of the Permian Basin. I mean, that's a very similar thing going on there. And what's hard is the rules of the negotiation, if you could create some that people would abide by, should be logic and reality. And unfortunately, there is nothing there, and there's no bumper saving everybody from allowing emotion to get involved, because it's scientifically proven, I believe, that emotion is a very strong motivator that almost distorts your reality if you allow it. So when you feel the chills and you feel that momentum in the moment, can you control those emotions in order to best provide for your citizens and for the industry and for the city and for the progression of our ability as people? That's really difficult. And so you can go in with logic and reality, but the emotion that's involved in that is that's where I just thought of, and anyway, I got lost in that.
No, it is. It's very emotional, and I think one of the things about emotion is, so where we work, we always try to work with local people. Here I am in Canada, so we have Canadian employees, Canadian staff, or we're doing Canadian projects. We work out at Sugarloaf Peak in Arizona. We work with Arizonans. We work with people in that region. And so because we're visitors in that environment, we're bringing capital. We're trying to make a difference with them and for them together.
Right.
And then in Mexico, so here we have COVID or other things happening, but we're there working with local people that live there. So we're not traveling necessarily internationally with all of our people, but working with the people in that community. Everywhere we go, we always hire and work with locals. Some of the longest employees we have are the people that are the watchmen, the people that have been on the project over time.
Wow.
They stay there. We continue to employ them, fixing the schools, fixing the water systems, fixing the infrastructure to the communities, so we can leave a lasting positive way, rather than giving money, but to invest in those communities that we work and employ those people with education. Riverside as a company, we call it knowledge is golden.
Right.
That's our tagline. And it really fits with our belief and theory that we really can make a difference.
Wow. Skippo, you got anything?
That is, thinking about it, I mean, when you're talking about any geopolitical issue, things are always going to get complex, because there's obviously, and you don't want to be the one steamrolling over someone, and you don't want to be the one getting steamrolled.
That's right.
So there's that that juxtaposition where, both people need to meet in the middle. And especially I can see with like a new venture team in an area that's never been, explored before, that country or that economy or that state, whatever have you, doesn't have any experience or background in that. So with you guys, I'm sure there are things that they're making up on the fly. It could be in their best interest, or it could just be kind of a reaction to something that you guys want to do. They just want to make sure their side is safe, and vice versa. So, I mean, I could see when you're going down those rabbit holes and, it's like, hey, let's just get in, let's do the project, like we'll abide by these regulations and let's get this thing moving, because that's going to be the best path for both parties, right? But I'm sure there are times where it's like, well, let's just add, one or two more things into this deal, and it delays the project even further and further. So yeah, I'm just thinking about that. Do you have any experience in that you'd like to share, as far as, it doesn't need to be the specific area, but maybe a topic on that matter?
Totally. And I think one of the things is that the political people or the different people in power change as well. So that's always changing. And so you have these relationships and agreements, and then things keep changing all the time. And so we've had this experience quite often on the projects we're working on. We've worked on 64 projects over the last 13 years. So we've had a lot of projects. We're just forming a new company right now, and it'll go public, and that'll be great. And that's neat. And we've done that 7 times where we've helped new companies go. And so each one of these, there's all these different steps. And, and so we have vast people that are employed and working with us, and it's fun. And so, yeah, I think that one of the things that happens is that every day you're always learning, and you're finding, hey, this is happening, but it's always, you have these long-term visions rather than really a defined plan that's going to all turn out the way it is. So you have your plan, and it's constantly being changed. And I think one of the things is that I've learned is that, you really have to have that direction, because otherwise you can get lost.
Wow.
So you need to have that business direction. And that's really, really a key thing, Skip, is that, you have your values, and people talk about it, but it's really true. You really have those values. And so when things come up, as long as you keep against those same constant values, it keeps working out. Things go up and down, and it can be hard, but you get through it.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And I mean, I think that's a very important point for every successful business, and everyone that I've talked to that's owned a successful business, whether it's oil and gas or finance, that understanding what your values are, being able to write those values down off the cuff is, I believe, one of the most important things that any successful business needs. Just 4 or 5 things, trust, focus, whatever those core values are, having that is, yeah.
All right. What's your core value? No, you brought it up, Skip. Oh, let's hear it. Let's hear 5 of them right off the top.
Five right off the top. I was going to say, man, you're going to throw me on the spot.
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. No,
so I'll take Skip off the spot. So for me, integrity is so important, it's great. No, really, integrity is vital. Really, we have to be honest with what we're doing and where we are. Another one's passion, really finding people. So, today I'm interviewing a person. He's like, what's my title? I say, what do you want your title to be? Where do you want to go? We want to mentor and create. So passion is a key one.
Wow.
I think inclusive. We really want to get diversity. I've got this young, great lady working in our group, and she's actually the CIT, CEO in training. I love it. And she's working with us, and it's great. And she's just totally there, and just really, really. And I think, the other thing is commitment. Really, really is that you're fully committed to the team, to teamwork, to working together. And so it's great. And so everything you see, so people make mistakes, but as long as you see it's coming from a commitment to success, then you really try to reach for that understanding.
Wow.
So those are 4 of the core values that we live and work. And it's interesting, Skip, because you say, you can write them down, but in some respects, they're not limited to 4, but you can look at these key things, and it's these goodnesses. But really, if you have one thing, integrity, everything is whole in one word. And it's hard because things come up all the time, and you're really, really trying to deal with it. and it's really uncomfortable because people don't take it as integrity. People take it other ways. But if you take it as really listening and you're saying, look, I'm really trying to do what's best for the assignment of what I'm trying to do and make it work, then at least they can get to where it is. So it's really good.
Oh my gosh, I love that. And that to me, unless you guys want to talk about anything else with the conception part of this show, is a perfect segue into the drill down. Do we have anything we want to jump into before the drill down?
No, I think that's a really solid transition.
Oh man, are you kidding me? Because the product of our show is more information and knowledge about joint ventures. I can't wait to take what we just heard and what a company that is built on those values is about to tell us how to properly do the business of a joint venture. And I think that out of all things we talk about today is the most powerful. And I think that's everyone that listens to this can take this with them for many years to come. John-Makr Staude, the floor is yours, sir.
Well, joint venture, I think the first thing is that it's joint. A lot of times people don't realize it's actually joint, like a marriage. So people are coming together. So really seeking to understand what are the values or what's there for both groups, trying to understand what are the measures and where they're trying to go. And it's really hard because people are bringing different aspects to it. So when you go out, it's seeking first. So we really like Stephen Covey and those 7 habits are a really great place to be. So a joint venture is jointly to do something, to do the venture. So in our case, we're doing mineral exploration jointly. And immediately that'll often cause a problem because where the two groups want to get to isn't the same point. Mm-hmm. One group maybe wants to find something, someone else wants to mine it, yet they say we're making a joint venture. So when you start to make joint ventures, there's something about scale, equivalency, things that actually naturally can go together.
Wow.
Maybe like Reese and peanut butter cups. Peanut butter and chocolate, they go
My
together.
favorite.
The reason it's your favorite is because it goes together. It's a joint venture between those two tastes, and they blend together. And they both are fine separately, but you bring them together. And that's what joint venture is that
wow.
You do the stuff that works together. And so I think part of it then is where you're going. You want to go to the same direction, and that really works. And as long as they're similar sized and similar capacity, going in the same direction with the similar values, it really can be much stronger. It's that 1 + 1 = 3. Wow. It's where you can bring more value to it. And for us, working with a partner, for example, with BHP, we're completely different scales. They're 22,000 times bigger than us. So, it's like, how do you work together? You really have to have understanding and things. So, you get these differences that are so amazing, and yet how do you jointly do something together? But to be clear, we're not in a joint venture by definition, because at a joint venture, you're both putting up something equally or at least on a ratio basis. And when someone's 22,000 times larger than you, it's hard for you to put things up on some type of ratio that makes sense. So you have to bring different aspects, not just monetarily. Maybe you bring ideas. And so we actually bring creativity, and we're a prospect generator. And by bringing prospect generation to joint ventures, you can therefore bring different ways that'll actually create value for both parties.
Wow. So you bring up a really interesting point there. So, and I'm sure because of your time within the economic geology space and within the resource space, you've seen it all, but what's the difference between a JV between, for example, yourselves and another mining company versus a JV between you and something that's more of like a financial company? So some investment firm that comes in, because in those situations, right, their expertise they're bringing in is strictly finance, right? And so those roles of like a non-op in those JV structures, can you kind of go into like the details of like the differences that you see in the two? Because you said in the last one you provide creativity, but let's just say I'm a guy with money and I know you have prospects, and
can you
I know
make
you're
me
going to
more
make
money
with my money. So can you kind of go into the differences between those two spaces?
You bet, Skip. And so, and sometimes it may not be a really the legal term of a joint venture, but you're talking about a venture that's joint. So, a venture we're going to go together and work on together. And that's great, Skip. So I think what you see is that you actually have with financial interests, they want a return on the money, and you want to get a delivery, and it's a risk to reward. So with that risk, you try to meet that type of reward. And so you lay out a plan, and there's expectations and an understanding, and really great if you can fully disclose what the risks are out there. And, and then there can be a big reward on the other side, and then you do it. So often at a financial aspect, it's like that type of thing, that it's not really a joint venture, but it's a venture that's joint.
I like that. I've never heard that
Right.
explained that way before. I really like that a lot, because it's the truth. It's not a joint venture, but we're in this together.
Right. Right. Wow. Okay. And then what about the a big technical joint venture? What's the difference there?
Well, that's exciting. I mean, if you're with a siting for us, we've actually jointly. So say you're with an exploration to develop a new technology, and so this new technology is out there, and trying to do it as a joint venture. You're doing it again. It's with that investor and things. And I think with research, and what I think one of the key aspects is that there is you really trying to go beyond, and that capital facilitates and is appreciated. And it's so important. The people spending the capital are appreciative of the people giving that capital, that allowing you to do that. And that's what I found when I was at Harvard and science, is that you really can appreciate that people are giving you that toward a shared vision. And it can open up so many doors, and it's really great. And so to be really so respectful to that capital, and to be careful with it, and try to really not only do your best to achieve it, but to overachieve, to exceed the expectations. And when you exceed the expectations, then the capital can come back again. And so we're lucky we've had a chance to work many times with many different parties, and with the same party again and again. And we just announced a deal with a party where we had done work with them, and now we've done another deal with them. And those are the type of repeat business, I think. And that's when you can really see, you're on win-win.
Right. Yeah. And like you were saying, being so careful and overachieving, right? You're fostering these long-term relationships, right? You understand what each other's strengths are. You understand, hey, our responsibilities will be X, yours will be Y. Right. And in doing so, we're going to avoid any kind of overlapping. And then, at the end of the day, you guys are just being transparent with one another. And I think that is what fosters a great JV relationship, specifically in any kind of business space. So that was pretty cool, the way that, just being with these partners for as long as that you have been. That just goes to show.
It does, and you have these partnerships, and it's nice because the partnerships have a date, and then they extend it. And you love it when they're extended. They go beyond the deadline date. Yeah. They're going, and they're actually, let's keep going. It's okay. It's repeated and going. And I think, it's not easy, and it's not easy on either side, because the other party has many different pressures on it and things like that, particularly if one side's financing and the other's supposed to deliver. There's expectations, and then there's reality, and things get in the middle, and it's hard. And it's been very interesting recently with COVID happening, and how do you keep on track? And they come back and say, well, do you close your business? And instead we said, no, we actually can expand our business, and we can find a way to actually do more than we could do before, and do it in a different way, and use it as an opportunity. But it's only when you have that communication and that trust. Wow. I think that's one of the key values in joint ventures, is trust. And then when you don't have the trust, it's difficult. And so it really comes down to trusting your partner, and then joint ventures can really work much better.
Definitely. So while you were explaining that, I know this is not an easy a question to attack, and I think you have a couple of slides maybe of kind of fundamental JV. Is that true or no?
I do.
Okay.
So just give me a second. I'll pull them up here.
Oh, man. So what you were saying, that the JV on paper, in my opinion, I guess one of the most important things about it with that conversation just now was that both sides are in appreciation of this agreement that's being put together. And it doesn't feel like, oh, I'm just the money guy in this situation, and these, black box scientists got all these crazy ideas. It is about writing a piece of document that brings these two fundamentally different people together, thinking about the project totally different. Let's team up. let's both appreciate this joint venture. That's got to be incredibly challenging.
Just kind of going off what you said, Troy, is like creating that shared vision between two different companies or two different parties that's always going to be a challenge, right? But that's where, creating that shared vision with the shared end goal, that's where that could become a reality. It's just one of those things where you take a step back and it's like, okay, we can get there, right? We might have to forfeit X, you might have to forfeit Y, but we will get to Z.
That's right. Yeah.
Riverside Resources is a mineral exploration company focused on making big discoveries and is advancing a strong portfolio of gold, silver, and copper properties in the Americas. Riverside owns commanding land packages near active mines and deposits where new discoveries have been efficiently developed. Riverside Resources is exploring Mexico, a country with a rich mining history and an even more promising future, boasting silver and gold production increases of 5 to 10% per year. Riverside is also exploring British Columbia, a stable jurisdiction with abundant mineral wealth. Riverside Resources is driven, dynamic, and with its proven approach, turns knowledge into value by leveraging its proprietary mineral databases to generate and acquire high-potential projects. Riverside mitigates risk by advancing many of these projects through joint ventures and alliances, generating cash and share payments, partner-funded drilling, and preserving a tight share structure. And Riverside's business model increases the opportunity for its shareholders to take part in a major discovery with the advancement of multiple projects. Increasing value and opportunity for every shareholder dollar. Riverside Resources. Knowledge is golden.